You know, I've always been impressed by physiotherapists, the way they help people get back on their feet. Literally, it's like they give people back their lives. And it sounds like you're interested in taking that a step further, right? Diving deep into the world of advanced physiotherapy.
Exactly. That's where my head's at.
We've got a ton of great material to work with today, research articles, career guides, even some info on RoleCatcher, which we'll get to later. But first, let's talk about what really makes this career tick. From what I'm seeing, you're drawn to a career that's both in demand and incredibly rewarding. Traditional physiotherapy obviously has its perks, but advanced physiotherapy, that's got to be where things get really interesting, huh?
You hit the nail on the head. Um, it's about using your expertise to solve these really complex puzzles, with the human body. It's not just following a set routine. You're the one who's figuring out the why behind the pain, developing the game plan, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the field.
Yeah. So it's kind of like being a medical detective in a way. That's got to be way more fulfilling than just handing out those exercise sheets.
You got it. And there are so many different paths you can take. You can specialize in orthopedics or neurology or even pediatrics. Each area requires its own unique knowledge and approaches. Like treating a young athlete with a sports injury is vastly different from creating a rehabilitation plan for someone who is recovering from a stroke.
Oh, that's a really good point. Now that you mention it, I am seeing all these different specializations listed in this career guide you've included. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all career path.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Advanced physiotherapists, they're the specialists within their field. They become the strategic mind that guides the entire treatment process, from diagnosis all the way to long-term recovery.
So it sounds like that's what really sets this career path apart. You're not just treating symptoms, you're actually getting to the root of the problem and making a real difference in people's lives. Now, looking at this career guide some more, some of these skills they list sound pretty intense, Like judgment, decision making, critical thinking. What do those even actually look like? In action, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Those are different, not just buzzwords. They're like essential to navigating the kind of complexities you're going to face in this job.
Totally. So say you've got an athlete who's like chomping at the bit to get back in the game after an injury. They're pushing their limits, maybe even downplaying their pain a little. How do you find that balance, between supporting their drive, but also like making responsible decisions for their health in the long run?
That's a great question and a very real scenario. And that's exactly where having that really solid foundation in medicine and dentistry, which the career guide talks about, that's where that really comes into play. But, and this is important, it goes way beyond just that.
Right, because you're working with like actual people, not just textbooks.
Exactly. Building trust is huge. Understanding their motivations and sometimes even just having those tough conversations about what's realistic to expect. It takes a whole other set of skills on top of all that scientific knowledge. Empathy, communication, those are crucial.
So it's this whole other side of things then. It's not enough to just be like a brilliant clinician. You've got to be able to really connect with people on a human level. It's interesting, this guide even lists customer service and psychology as important for this field, which makes total sense when you really think about it.
100%. I mean, look, think of it this way. You're essentially running your own show in a lot of ways, even if you're part of a bigger team. You're managing these relationships with your patients. You're collaborating with other healthcare professionals. And you have to be ready to advocate for the best possible outcomes for your patients, always.
And on that note about advocating, there's something in the materials you gave me that really jumped out at me, and that was this. Strong writing skills are super important for an advanced physiotherapist. I have to admit that wasn't something I would have expected.
It's true, though. I think people underestimate it sometimes, whether it's publishing research or just writing really thorough patient reports or even advocating for policy changes in the field. That ability to communicate clearly and really get your point across, that's absolutely essential.
It's true. Being able to get your point across clearly and concisely is so important. And it made me think, actually, about this RoleCatcher info you included. It seems like a powerful tool in its own right. So tell me more about how it works. How does RoleCatcher actually shake things up in the job market?
Well, I think what makes RoleCatcher so cool is that it's not just like your typical job board.
Right, right.
It's more like, imagine having this personalized career coach, but
Yeah.
like in your pocket, available 24/7.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
So it uses AI, right, to go through all these job descriptions, and it helps you figure out exactly which of your skills you should be highlighting for each opportunity. So instead of just sending out like a generic resume, and hoping for the best.
Which, let's be real, we've all been there.
Exactly. This way is much more strategic, because it helps you tailor your approach to actually stand out.
That makes a ton of sense. So, for instance, say you're really interested in working with a specific type of patient, right? Like athletes who are recovering from sports injuries. Could RoleCatcher help you target your job search more effectively in that case?
Totally. That's a perfect example. RoleCatcher can actually identify companies or clinics that specifically focus on sports injuries and rehabilitation.
Oh, wow.
And it can even give you a really good sense of the exact skills and experience that they prioritize. So you're not left guessing. You know what I mean?
No, that's amazing. It really sounds like it takes a lot of the guesswork and honestly the stress out of job hunting. And that's huge, especially because you mentioned feeling kind of overwhelmed by the whole process before. This could be a game changer, really.
Oh, absolutely. And the best part is, it goes even further than that. So RoleCatcher can also hook you up with resources for your own professional development, like courses, certifications, even conferences that are related to your career goals.
Wow, it sounds like they've really thought of everything, from actually finding the perfect job to then continuously growing in your career. This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening. We started talking about the day-to-day of what it means to be an advanced physiotherapist, but then we've also uncovered all these resources like RoleCatcher that can help people really excel in this field. And I have to say, what really stands out to me is that this is a career where you never stop learning and growing, which is exciting. It's not just about treating patients, it's about advocating for them and pushing the boundaries of what's possible and shaping the future of physiotherapy as a whole. So, to anyone listening who's passionate about making a real difference in the world, I mean, this could be it.